What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. So, Stacey Abrams, all right, is currently running for governor of Georgia against sitting governor, incumbent Kemp, Republican. Now, some of you may recall it was just 4 years ago that those two faced off for the first time in that gubernatorial race. Stacey Abrams in that race lost by about 1.5 percentage points to Kemp. And there were some people who called foul because, as far as that race is concerned, because Kemp not only was the governor-elect, but also he was the Georgia Secretary of State. And in that capacity, he was overseeing the results. And I can't remember whether there was I can't recall whether or not there was a recount of the vote or not. I can't remember. I think there was. But there was some evidence of discrepancies. I don't know if it was enough to overturn the results, but I'll tell you this. You didn't see Democrats, when the votes were certified in Kemp's favor, you didn't see the Democrats charging the state capitol, overtaking security, pissing and shitting everywhere, putting their feet up on the desk of state legislatures. You didn't see that. But anyway, she's running again. And this time it's a relatively close race, but she's 5 points behind. And she said something when asked about whether or not she's confident of victory in November. She said, well, if black men come out and vote, then we will win. So already with that statement, she's throwing black men on the bus, which is typical of the current Democrat Party, to make us the scapegoats, the collective scapegoats, when things don't go right for the party. Let me say this, all right? First of all, we don't have to just come out and vote for the sake of voting. We don't have to do that. Maybe some people just vote and, for no reason and don't expect something in return. Every other demographic, every other person in the Democratic coalition, whatever group, I should say, they expect something and they get something in return for their vote. It's not our fault that finally this generation, after 50 years of getting nothing, have said enough is enough. We want something. And they're trying to pressure us into voting. But this is the thing, y'all. It's not up to us. And to be honest with you, I think even though it's only a 5-point lead for Kemp, I think she kind of knows she's going to lose. First of all, in 2018, the environment was a lot more favorable to Democrats. That was the blue wave year, you might recall, all right? Even though her and Andrew Gillum, who's turned out to be a complete disaster, even though they were progressive black candidates, they overperformed. Especially Stacey Abrams, at least. She overperformed due to the mass turnout of Democratic voters and black voters in that state. She almost overcame Kemp's lead. This time, I don't know if there's going to be that type of swell of support. I'm not sure about that. Now, the Republicans are starting to do a lot of things that are irking voters, that are irritating voters, that's sort of diminishing, in certain races at least, what looked to be a red wave may be more of a red splash of Tabasco sauce or something. Like maybe a gain of 15 to 20 seats, but not what was anticipated, which was 40, 50, maybe more. Who knows? We'll have to see. But look, when you look at the voter suppression tactics that the Republicans have implemented since 2018, when you look at the 100,000 at least, the hundreds of thousands, I believe, or at least 100,000 voters that have been taken off voter rolls for whatever crooked reason Republicans have come up with, the fact that they're going to make it more difficult for voters in areas of high population but low amounts of voting precincts to vote, these long lines. You know, you can't drink, you can't eat. All these things are being done to discourage voters from coming to the polls. You need to look into these things rather than using us as scapegoats, right? And then one other point I want to make. According to exit polling last time, because look, she's talking about the fact that polling shows that 90% of black women back her, while only 80% of black men are backing her, which is about right. Black men have been defecting the Democratic Party. That's true. But what they're not telling you, though, is that in 2018, 97% of black women backed Stacey Abrams. It's now down to 90%. So you're also hemorrhaging black women. Not a lot, but it's a process. Last time, 88% of black men voted for Abrams. It's now 80%. So what you need to do, instead of like trying to press us to vote for you, pressure us to vote, why don't you find out why we're not voting? You see, that's the interesting thing with the Demo Dummies. Any other fucking group in the Democratic coalition or any other members, the Republican Party does this too. When they see a decline in the amount of voters, remember when Democrats started noticing a decline in their Asian support? What did you see them do? Anti-Asian hate crime bill. When you see a decline in your Latino support, they do things to try to pacify the group. Incentives to try to get them back on. The Democratic, I don't want to say plantation, but to get them back as far as voters for the Democratic Party. With us, we don't get that shit. We just get scare tactics or blame. That shit's dead. Look, man, that shit don't work with us no more. Oh, well. Okay, oh, well. We're not voting. This ain't Ma and Paul Robeson, I've been going to church for 40 years, and I've been a loyal Democrat since Dr. King. Look, man, I got all the respect in the world for those people. But, I go to church on Sundays and vote on Tuesdays Democrat. Hey, them days are gone, man. That generation is dying out. We need some type of incentive if you want us to vote Democratic. Fuck that shit. And Stacey, you just gonna lose. That's it.